Hey, welcome back. At this point, I hope I'm breaking this down so simple for you that it's frightening. I know a lot of ActionScript videos out there by programmers who enjoy and self-indulge and enjoy confusing the holy heck out of you by doing this wacky, crazy, cuckoo stuff. This is straightforward, simple logic, simple ActionScript. So let's finish the rest of our application. If I command return, so if I click price, I can see my price, but these have not been programmed, so therefore these are not hyperlinks. These are not programmed buttons, navigation buttons. So let's do that. So I go back to ActionScript panel. Now notice again, we're putting all our ActionScript in one place, not 5 places, not 10 places, one place. So how do I program the rest of the buttons? Very simply, I can copy, hit the return key twice, put some space in there, paste, hit the return key twice, put some space in there. Now again, it ignores the space. I did that just so the eye can see it flow a little bit better. So now I can simply say, name of this instance is PRO, and I want it to go to the PRO section, and this is the service button. So I want SER to go to the double-click SER section. Notice I double-click when I'm in here because I don't have to click and drag. You can just double-click that, puts everything between the quotes. So now if I command return, I now have price, products, services. Price, products, services. Now what happened to my logo? Well, my logo is no longer there because according to my timeline, the logo lives up to frame 10. So if you want your logo to be there throughout the application, which would probably make a lot of sense, I'm going to put my cursor right here and hit F5. Insert a key, insert a frame. Now, notice that you have these broken dots here. This represents that this keyframe is looking for another keyframe, but I don't have to tween between 10 and 40 any longer. So I can hold down the Control key and remove tween. This no longer needs to be a tween between 10 and 40. It needs to be a tween between 1 and 10, but not between 10 and 40. So that's aesthetically correct. So I got rid of that by holding down the Control key or right-clicking on right-clicking on Windows and basically remove the tween. Okay, so now I'm going to make some aesthetic changes to my design. When I go to the price section, I wanted to say price in that little box we had here earlier. Now notice that that box is off the stage. So what I want to do here is make a brand new layer, and I'm going to call this layer simply section titles. Section titles. So sec titles. Now, where do I want the section titles to start? Well, the section titles don't need to start until I get starting with this frame. So right here is where I want my section titles to start. So it has to go there. If you're making a change, you have to put a keyframe, F6, because this is where I want my section titles to go. Now, my section titles right now is part of this whole comp. So what I'm going to do here is go to my library and double-click my fireworks. Now, a simple way to do this without scrolling through these different comps here, if you want to do this, you can. But basically, this is my different names that I called inside of fireworks. This is the different names, and I have something called section titles. So I can actually take section title. This might be a simpler way to approach it now that I think about it. So let's take our section titles and put it right there. So I'm going to select that keyframe, take my section title and put it right here. So I'm going to take this section title and basically add it right there. Okay. Now, if you have a good eye for design, you'll notice there's a bit of a problem with here. Now, this is a glitch I found with working with fireworks assets that have drop shadows. Notice this has a drop shadow. This doesn't have a drop shadow, but this one does. So I want to take this one from here. So I'm going to delete that from the stage. Didn't delete it from the library, just delete it from the stage. I'm going to double click this page 1. I'm going to double click here. I'm going to hold down the space bar, grab the page, move the page. I'm going to take this graphic and cut it from there. I'm going to take this graphic and cut it from there. Command X. I'm going to go back to scene 1. I'm going to select this keyframe and paste. cut, paste. Now this has the drop shadow. So I'm going to take that one with the drop shadow and put it right there. Again, that's a little glitch with the program that I circumvented by going to the actual comp itself, by double clicking, cut it from there and paste. So right here is where I want to put my section titles. My section titles. Now again, this doesn't have to live technically past here. So from here to there, I'll just create a small file size, Control key, and remove frames. So I just want my section titles to go from here to there. Now here's the cool part. I don't want my section titles to have 5 section titles. I want to have 1 section title. So what goes here is dynamic text box. So I'm going to put a dynamic text box right there, and I'm simply going to name the instance. So I'm going to name the instance property palette sec underscore titles underscore txt. So now it has an instance name, and I'm just going to copy fit some titles. So again, it's going to say something like our services, our prices. I'm going to put our. Okay, then I'm going to copy fit this. So therefore, this is not fitting. So I'm just going to extend this. I'm going to keep that in the center, which is fine. And I want this to be yellow, because yellow will look better on blue. So I make that yellow. And I'm just going to increase the size of this to it fits exactly. So if I know it, if our services fit, our prices and our products is going to fit. Now after careful consideration to basically just, let's not jump through hoops here. Let's just make this black. So it says our services. Okay. Now it has an instance name. So if it has instance name, I can talk to it. So I'm not using 4 text box, I'm using the same text box. Now when does this happen? Again, logical deductive thinking. When I want this to say our services? Well, first of all, I just want this to say holder or placeholder. Let's just have this say holder or title holder. Okay, because I don't want to hard code the word our services. This is going to be inside of our action script. So I go back to my frame actions. Now let's think about this. When is this going to happen? This is going to happen when I get there. When I get to this section starting here, 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 I want that title to say something else, correct? So I want that to happen after I get to that frame. What did I call that instance name? Let's say I forgot what I call the instance name. So I click right here and I pick section titles. Now, an important step here. I can't refer to it as this any longer. So I'm simply going to say the name of the instance, which is section titles. Now, what would happen if I put the word this? This refers to this instance name. Again, who's on first? Yes. No, who's on first? Yes. No, no. Who's on first? Yes. It refers to this instance name. So do not put the word this here. It will not work. So we're going to do the same thing we did with this. So this section title period is going to contain what? It's going to contain text. And the value of the text is going to be equal to our prices. And quotation mark and semicolon. Again, if you forget the semicolon, you can click right here. It's going to auto format this. Okay, so this is going to say our prices. Then I can take this same piece of code, not reinvent the wheel, and put that here and put that here. So I want this to say our services. And I want this to say our products. Simply done. Now, using the same text box. I'm not using 5 text boxes, so therefore if I need to change the font or the color or the size, I can do it to 1 text box, not 50 text boxes. So now if I hit Command Return, nothing's going to happen until I go to that section. Once I go to that section, it will say our prices. It'll say our products. It will say our services. Pretty cool, huh? Very simply done, because it's dynamically generated from the action script. The action script is dynamically generating the information. Okay, so if we play our application at this point, Command Return or Control Return on Windows, you'll see that computer hung up here for a second. Great. Okay. So we're back. All right. So at this point, I want to start putting in the actual assets from the client that goes here. So I'm going to replace the P and the S, the dollar symbol. How am I going to do that? I physically select the keyframe and hit the delete key. I'm not deleting the keyframe, I'm deleting the contents of the keyframe. This is now a blank keyframe, I mean there's nothing there. And I'm going to select products and hit the delete key. Again, I'm not deleting the frame, I'm deleting the contents of the frame. That's why there's a hollow dot. That's a blank keyframe. The solid is a solid keyframe. It means that there's something there. Now, there's nothing there because I hit the delete key, make a change, save a change. So here's our objective. When I go to these different sections, when I click these buttons and go to these different sections, I want to do something called load movie. Now, load movie sounds like it's really cool, but load movie doesn't load a movie. Using the load movie command, which is ActionScript load movie, does not actually load a movie. Load movie is not part of timeline control. Load movie is part of browser network. Now, load movie, these are the types of files that you can load. It says it right here, an external Swift file. So I can load in another SWF file, or I can load a JPEG file, a GIF file, or a PNG file. I have a series of JPEG files we're going to load when I get there. So when is this going to happen? This is going to happen when I get to that section. So after I get to the section and load these section titles, I want to load movie. Now the shortcut for load movie, now again it's load movie, not load movie number. It's simply escape LM. Now this is a string of information. It needs to be the path to that file. Now important step here. Flash does not have a file directory that you can click a folder and go to that directory. So here's a little shortcut around how I can troubleshoot and avoid to get the correct file name. I'm going to go to File, Save As. First of all, I'm going to put my cursor here and put quotation mark, open quotation mark, closing quotation mark. Put my cursor right there in the center. I'm going to go to File, Save As. Now, the reason I went to File, Save As, because that's something here called Section Graphics. So I'm going to basically double-click Section Graphics, and this is the name of my file. So I want to put in the price product service. So I want to put the products, that's the name of the file. So I can actually take the name of the file and cut the name of my file, Command X or Control X. So this is inside the section _ graphics folder in relation to this folder, in relation to the folder that it's in. So I need to say section hyphen graphics. So it's section _ graphics, so section _ graphics. So section _ graphics / name of the file. Then here I need to put it inside of a movie clip. Now I haven't created the movie clip yet. We're going to put this inside of a movie clip. Just a second. We'll do this in our next video because we're running out of time. We have a 50-minute timeline with YouTube videos. So we'll put the movie clip graphic, we'll put this graphic load movie into a movie clip in our next video.